And that is that I had an interview this week for a teaching position, and what they were talking about was aesthetics. And in the aesthetics, we were talking about the elements of design. And remember that I have like this strange range where I have a degree in design, in industrial design, and then I have a degree, a master's degree in teaching, and then an MFA in animation. It's called a terminal degree. It's the highest degree you can get in animation. Then I have tons of experience teaching in local schools, the public school system, all my animation stuff, you know, whatever. And in the high school, in public schools, you don't get a really chance to really get into the idea of what industry level design is like. But this is the go-to thing about the principles of design, where you're talking about what is it? Everything that you draw is point, line, plane. It's whatever it is, a pencil or a stylus, a marker, a brush, you're always talking about the elements of color. Whenever you put anything down, you're doing a composition. So you're talking about focal points, you're talking about emphasis, you're talking about contrast. And these are not in alphabetical order. They're not in hierarchical order. They're just, it's something as an artist, you always think about these things. And so in my presentation, I talked about volume, about the 3D, about the perspective, about depth. In many parts of animation and game, we talk about contrast and affinity. Would your character do this? Is your character doing this in character, or is it something that they're doing that is out of character for them? That is a contrast to their character. If it's something that they would do as a character, then it's affinity, which goes all the way back to the idea of the characters that are moving around the screen in the shape of water are all in character. They all have an affinity for each other because it's based on the auteur of Guillermo del Toro. Look at all the strange, weird things that Wes Anderson does with his characters in his film. They all have an affinity for him as an auteur. Anyway, you should know these. You should know these well. And if you're not aware of these are the world-renowned principles of design. And here, look, I'm talking about variety. You know, a contrast of different size shapes. Well, all the way back to the idea when we were drawing our pixie dust. When I'm talking about the shapes of the clouds, when we're doing our cloud, our smoke animation, I used the word variety 1,000 times. I'm talking about you looking at your art in terms of white space, black space, negative space, or silhouette. This should all be in your mind's eye as an artist. All of this. This is being recorded. I'll put it back up on YouTube, and you can write these down. Or if you want, I could put these in the chat if you want. Here, I'll just do that. Principles of design, and I'll put them in the chat. There. So when I was doing my presentation, I wanted to make sure that people knew that Billy has a goofy side. You know, I had a whole bunch of strange, tragic things that happened in my life as I was in college and just afterwards, including coming here to San Francisco. And in order to deal with it, I just kind of either made fun of myself or whatever, try to take life not too seriously. And so in the principles I was presenting to the president of the school, I said, in my presentation, I want to talk all about these things. I wanted to talk about all of these things, including cats and dogs and bats and telecasters, because I knew one of the guys on the committee and he hates telecasters. But there's this weird debate about it is a workman's guitar. It's a workwoman's guitar. You have a Telecaster as a musician, you know it's a serious instrument. It's not the most expensive, it's not the most beautiful, but it sounds great. For some stupid reason, it sounds great. And he got a chuckle out of it. And then I got on a roll, and I'm a mantis shrimp. You know, if you ever did any kind of research about bioluminescence or luminosity or how things glow, everything in the ocean glows. And mantis shrimp are amazing. There's so many strange things about mantis shrimp. How did Mother Nature ever put these things together? And then clients, the principles of design. It's like clients, because I saw that one of the guys on my committee was a business instructor. And then I just said, but you know, everything really is about aesthetics and appeal. And you've heard me talk about this over and over again. It's like everything is about variety. Everything is about aesthetics and appeal. And then what I did is I applied that to our volcano. And in the discussion of the volcano, I said, everything in those principles of design is listed here. The perspective, just to start with, your vanishing point, bringing everything together and unifying it. We talked about color and gradients when we're putting our backgrounds together, and how to manipulate your color palette. We talked about just balancing out your composition using focal points and the very center of your screen, and staying away from the edges of your screen, because you have an action safe and a title safe area. And here, the first one I wrote at the top was point, line, plane. Movement, obviously, if you're thinking about your composition, just in our volcano here, the movement of your animation, you have to take into consider where your stuff is. If you had all these clouds moving right here in the near upper atmosphere, you wouldn't see them. So you have to put them down here, and you have to think about the very idea of going back to our sketches. And I had zoomed in on this, and talking about how going from a thumbnail sketch and thinking about your composition in pencil all the way to Toon Boom makes a really smooth transition as a designer. You are a designer. You are thinking about all of these elements, 3D and volume. You're talking about foreground. You're talking about foreground and midground and background elements. And because of that, you're talking about everything that you're talking about for design is in this thumbnail, and then therefore in your Toon Boom composition. So so remember that everything that we're talking about on any of our projects really had these elements built into it. All right, so the last thing that I wanted to say was that I know that I've been pushing really hard on the volcano, the tornado, this final that you're working on. So let me just take a look here. I've got one thing to look at. And it is Minjung. Let's see how the LMS plays today. Let's turn our loop on. All right, I'm going to pull this because it's sticking. Okay, so is this one, Minjung, is this one of the first times I've seen this?
Yes.
Okay. The first thing that I noticed is that there is a jump between the first frame and the last frame. It's not smooth. I think that I like everything that you're doing with the shapes of those little spindles. I like them a lot. I think that you can, are you in Toon Boom?
No, I use Procreate.
So in Procreate, can you change the color of all of elements of one thing throughout your entire shot?
Oh, yes.
So you might, so it depends on what your background is going to look like here. Because I think the blue and the light blue and the light gray work, but I think it's going to depend on what your background color looks like. But anyway, let me just refresh your eyes right here. This is a good way to adjust what you've got. So the first thing I see is that these little elements right here, so you've got one beginning of a little ribbon of smoke that goes from right here, then it goes to this position for number 2, and then it goes to 3 and 4, like that. So it's, and I think it looks to me, it appears to me to be moving like that, right? And I think that what happens is if you look at position number 1 being here, position number 2 being here, and 3 and 4, then what this ends up looking, you have to just realize that you're clockwise. So your rotation is clockwise. And I just want to make sure you knew that, right? Even these little ribbons, 1, 2, 3, it's all moving clockwise, right? Did you plan on this, Minjung?
Yeah.
Okay, so remember that kind of went against my recommendations because counterclockwise is how storms move. Anyway, what you can do is you need to think about this, like, let's take this upper ribbon right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And it looks to me like, yeah, you wouldn't see number 5. You might not see number 6, if maybe just the lead part of it, but you would definitely see 7, and you would definitely see 8. So in this composition, this position is missing, this position is missing. So you would want it to see it come out over here as a ribbon of smoke, and then over to here. So that's like 6 or 6, 7, and 8. So you're missing these key positions here. Now let me ask you, did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
So I think that this key thing here, remember, we are looking straight down on top of the tornado right here, is that you designed this so that any of these elements are going to move all the way around this. And remember that one of the things that I did for everyone was give you the notion of saying this one particular ribbon of smoke right here, this one, and I'm trying to capture it while the movie's playing. That one would be a drawing number 2. That this little ribbon right here is ribbon number 2, because it's like right here. And so you plan it out. So in your key, you plan out, you go backwards and say, you know what? I can see number 1. You definitely have number 1. It's like right here. So that's 1, this is 2. And then you animate this around in your key. So 3 is going to be here. And so when your camera is over here, what does that look like? So you do have number 3, it's there, I can see it. But number 4, you're going to need just the tail end of it. And remember, you don't see 5, you really don't see 6 unless you start bringing it out here. And then 7, you're going to need 7. And then you're going to need 8 in order to get the animation to work smoothly. So that's the jump. In your timeline, you have, yeah, hopefully you have 8 frames, right?
Yeah.
How many, and are you on 2s? It looks like you're on 2s. So you need to figure out what these frames 6, 7, and 8 look like and use your key. Make sure you use your key to get these positions right. And in Toon Boom, one of the really great things about Toon Boom is that you can zoom away from your screen. Oh, it's not letting me do it. Hold on. There. In Toon Boom, you can zoom away from your screen and you can draw off the stage, right? So I think that you need a few more ribbons. First of all, you need to make sure that there's no jump. So make sure that there's no jump. The jump between your frame number 8 or your drawing number 8, probably frame 16, into frame 1 again, there's a jump. So make this smooth. The idea is to make this smooth.
Okay.
Make that trend. It's a storm. It's like, so then I think you need more. So the
Okay.
second thing is you need more of these, just a few more of these ribbons around the middle. And then you definitely need the stuff out here. And then go back to your key, right? So you can still only use 8 drawings here for these guys, but these guys are going to be on 4s or 8s. In order to pull this off, just like I see in the Toon Boom down here underneath, what you're going to need to do is say, this is my 8 frames right here of the main smoke. It's on 2s, right?
Yes.
So in order to pull off this or this, what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to finalize this. This is your main smoke area. This is your main cloud smoke area. You say, I'm going to approve this. It's working. It's smooth. You've listened to my critique and said, yes, I need at least this little bit of 6 and 7 and 8 in order for the thing to move smoothly. And then you approve it. You say, okay, so this is working pretty well. Once that's approved, copy and paste this second time. That gives you that allows you to then do 16 drawings on 4s. And then you can say, okay, so now you've got, I'm sorry, 8 drawings on 4s. And then you can say, is this upper cloud stuff working on 4s? And you can see it right there in my timeline, that's what it would look like. And that's on a separate layer. So this is on 4s. And then we'd look at it. So then you would realize that you've got 16 frames here is pretty fast. 16 frames is just over a half a second. And that's really fast for the middle. That's good. But if you're on 4s, that means that it's going to be 32 frames right here. And if you're at 32 frames, that's just over a second. So are these things moving too slow or too fast at going from the upper atmosphere from position number 1 all the way around to position number 8, which would be a big distance in 1.25 seconds? Is that moving way too fast? And if it's going to be on 8s, then you're going to have to take this main and copy it and paste it a 3rd time and a 4th time in order to make the upper clouds move on 8s. See what I'm doing? And that is about the limit of limited animation. I think in this class, I think that what's working is your shapes are looking really good. It's just that you have to fix the jump and you need a little bit more. And then you need to add this upper atmospheric clouds that should be either on 4s or 8s. And so my recommendation is to set it on 4s first, copy and paste your main smoke twice at least. That gives you 4s. And if you need this to slow it down, then you're going to need to copy and paste this stuff an additional two more times, which gives you eights. And 8 drawings on eights is 64 frames. And so that's 2 seconds around the top, a little over 2 seconds. That's good. I think that you should work on your debris.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And I think that it works both ways. I think that if this storm is turning up and churning up the stuff that's on the ground, it could certainly throw all the stuff on the farm away from it. But I think someone in this class, it might have been Ryan, saw that it also sucks things in. You could do it either way. You can have debris going in that's light, or you could have heavier debris going out. And remember, use your principles of animation on any particular arc. Let it move fast and slow down. It eases into the top of its arc. And then as it goes out, it eases out of that position and speeds up. So it's looking good. You just got to finish it.
Yep, thank
Right,
you.
you want to take a screenshot of that?
Yes. Yes, I did.
Hey. Good zeros all the way down the board here, everybody. Okay, let's take a break. Let's take 10 minutes. Rob, I'll give you 11 minutes. You can have an 11-minute break. Because I just like to mess with people. All right, take a 10-minute break. And I'll put this will just be a really short video that I put up for today. 2 things. One is that we can treat this week from today all the way till next Friday like an online class. And if you put something in that folder, even for today, Friday the 13th folder, today's Friday the 13th, I will look at it and I will critique it. So if you just drop something in there, I will look at it every day, and I will just, if there's something there, I'll respond and I'll say, hey, this is working. This is okay. This needs adjustment. So from today all the way till next week, and really from next week all the way to final presentation, I'll do the same thing. So you can use like my office hours, if you will. And I'll respond as quickly as I can. Usually I'll bring the class open, it'll be sitting there, and I will refresh the page a couple of different times during the day. And so you can get feedback from me on the days if you want to post something, and that goes for anything. Anything for revisions on anything that you're doing for this class. All right, and then remember that technically in class next week is the last time when I get to officially give you in-camera critique and one-on-one critique before we go into finals officially. So if you want to put stuff in that folder, just go ahead, put it in there. I'll look at it. I'll look at it a couple of times today, this afternoon, this weekend. Consider it my office hours, and then it'll expedite your push into your finals. So that's the second thing. Oh, and there's a third thing. I'll invent a brand new third thing. I watched what is his name? Joseph Patterson's The Batman yesterday. It's a 3-hour movie. I think that there's some problems with it. It is not my favorite movie of all time at all. There's some interesting things about it, for sure, but there's some problems with that movie. It's scoring an 8 on Internet Movie Database. I'd give it a 6 or a 5. I was not happy. I'm glad I didn't pay for it. Did you see it too, Millicent?
No, I didn't, but I just knew that that it wouldn't be my kind of movie that I would go see.
Well, the first thing is that I remember seeing these critiques on it that said that it's a very dark movie. And when I heard that, I thought it was dark in terms of character, dark in terms of suspicious or mysterious or just blood and gore kind of thing. But I know for sure that most theaters now have digital light projection. And if you're lucky, you'll get to see a theater that has a really good digital light projectors. And those digital light projectors are basically like a projector that you would see in a classroom, where it's just taking a digital file, like a QuickTime movie, and displaying it on the screen, almost as if it was a real movie theater, like that there was film. Very, very, very few theaters have a 40-foot digital monitor, right? And so what they meant by dark is that it is really dark. And in a movie theater, digital light projection, when you put that much dark up there, it's going to get blown out by any ambient light. And I can imagine that people who were seeing that film in theaters were very disappointed. It would be a very difficult film for a theater. But I saw it on this monitor. My monitor is like a 4K monitor. And it was really interesting that it was that dark, but there were some shots I couldn't see because it was so dark. They meant that it was dark because it's black. I thought the acting was pretty flat. I thought the 3 hours was just pushing it. You know, I think it could be edited to 40 minutes. Yeah, it's not my favorite movie. I will not watch it again. The Batman. There were some good parts. There were times when it was interesting because the contrast was that there were these slow, long shots that go against the ASL. It stands for average shot length. And you could tell that the director and the editor were definitely pushing against that ASL. The average shot length, modern average shot length right now is about 3.5 seconds per shot. And there were some shots that were 8, 12, 14, 20 seconds long. And that was interesting. And remember that when I watch a movie, I can't just sit back and enjoy it. When I'm watching any movie, I'm always ripping it apart. I'm looking at it in terms of animation, live action, compositing, green screen, whatever it took to make the film, because I can't just passively watch any film anymore. When I started teaching my kids how to do this, it ruined their ability to sit and just watch a film for them too. Sorry. Yeah, I was not happy. I might even give it a 4. Let's give it a flat out 4. The Batman gets a 4. It's interesting if you want to watch it for 3 hours and tear it apart, just really rip it apart. Like if you were going to rip apart a film for a cinema class or something, it might be a good thing. I didn't think it was quite worth it. All right, I'm going to let you go. This is being recorded. I will put this up because I think Javon came in and left. But remember, if you want critique on anything, go ahead and put it in that folder. And that next week, formally in class next week, was the last time I really get to see things and give you feedback for adjustments one-on-one. Right? And you can go ahead and adjust your tornado, your volcano, and your final shot all the way up until the end of class. My intuition is that the LMS is going to close on the 29th, which is Sunday, the 29th. So you probably do have Saturday if you need one more day to get any kind of adjustments on anything in there for me to see. But if I were you, be smart. Don't count on all day Sunday. They're going to want me to do grades probably on the 30th. Monday is a holiday. So it might be that they want me to do grades on the 31st. I don't know. So I'll give you as much time as I can, but I imagine that the MLS will close on Sunday, the 29th. All right, I will see you all next week. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. See you next week.
Thank you.
Ciao. Ciao.